streaming. Okay, here we go. Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. I am hanging out with Skeeter, and we are going to be talking about some Splinterlands topics. We're going to be talking about cards, and we're going to be talking about rental prices. We'll see where the conversation leads. Want to see what you guys are talking about and asking questions about too today. Skeeter, do you want to introduce yourself? And you've already been here before. You've introduced yourself before, but this may be clipped, and so context-wise, can you just tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hey everybody, thanks for having me on, Dwayne. So I'm been playing CCGs for about maybe like 8-10 years or something now, and I'm just tired of throwing money away Web 2 gaming right now. So it's hard for me to throw in more than like $50 into a Web 2 game nowadays. So I'm really optimistic about Splinterland in the future, even with all the negativity going around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Hey, that's the thing in some ways for me too. Like I'm still, so I don't know if you know this about me, but I like a game called Lord of the Rings living card game. And when games are like the living card game, it usually means there's a collectible element to the cards that you're using, and there's new expansions that will add new battles and new lore that you can explore. And then of course that means new villains, which means new heroes, which means new armor and abilities. And there's some power creep. It's very similar in some sense to like a Splinterlands experience, except it's more of a 4-player cooperative where you're trying to beat the NPC. It's not an NPC. It's like essentially the luck of the draw on how the bad guy cards draw, but it's a lot of fun. I love it. I'm going to my buddy's house tomorrow night to play and hang out and we eat pizza. We hang out all night long. We play that game. But my point in bringing it up is you mentioned how expensive it can be to play these games where you have to collect the cards. And when there's a Web 2 experience, or when there's even a tabletop experience where there's no avenue or path to some possible recovery or profit, that's a totally different world and mechanism and sort of than what Splinterlands might be with its possible profitability. I think there's a certainty of profitability within Splinterlands as long as you're committing your time and attention for a long time horizon. But some will say they don't buy the high likelihood, but you have to admit, if you want to say there's no likelihood of profitability in Splinterlands, I think you're out to lunch. I think there's at least some avenue here, whereas with a Magic the Gathering or with like a LOTR living card game, you're spending money, and that's fun. You're going to have a lot of fun with it, but I'm saying there's zero probability of profitability there. And here we have something different, don't we?
Totally. And when you try to sell like paper in-person cards, there's a lot of friction to do it. Like you sell a common that's worth 25 cents and you have to package it and then pay a stamp worth 78 cents, where it doesn't really make sense. So a lot of your cards that you think are worth money, if they're under $1, you can't really sell them for much.
Mm-hmm. And there's issues of wear and tear with real physical cards, whereas with NFTs, there's that you can borrow them out through rental programs, through Peak Monsters or whatever, and they come back to you in perfect working order, not diminished, no possible theft or problems like that, and so that's totally different too.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the problems you alluded on would be like, you ship out this $50 card and you don't pay for tracking for it or insurance, and then the recipient says they never received the card, and then you're out of all the monies.
Yeah. That's interesting to have that. There's a growing number of people that I know in Splinterlands that are echoing your story in that background of, the collectible card games and walking in that. It's encouraging because it implies that the attention that is still here are people that truly understand what this could be. And I'd rather have a core group of people attending to Splinterlands that really recognize the power and the fun of a collectible card game and what blockchain brings to that conversation, as opposed to even hundreds of thousands of people who are, just here to leech value at the bronze level, like when bronze rewards were quite high. Or another example, or don't really get it, don't really like it, but think there's a financial opportunity. So I'll be here for a week or a month or a season so that I can gain from this. But truly, people that are actually interested in the gameplay mechanics, the card development, and everything else that Splinterlands is so focusing on.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of aspects going on it for sure, but I just want to go back and I hope you enjoy your in-person gaming experience with your friends. That's kind of the one thing that keeps me drawn to Magic, is I like to play in person with friends at a card shop occasionally.
Hmm. Yeah, see, that's it too. The thing about Web3 gaming and what blockchain brings to something like Splinterlands, I'm excited by what it could be and what I think it will be. I really I walk in obviously a high degree of confidence. I mean, $50 or $60,000 worth of resources in this thing. That says something about my confidence with what Splinterlands will one day be. But interestingly, I sometimes feel that our viewers or the participants in this space feel if we don't become, like a Magic the Gathering type household name or a, Hearthstone, that there isn't that we can't land in a place of significant success. And I totally don't agree. I think, with probably, 15, with probably between 5 and 20,000 real people playing this game right now. And that's a total guess, but I know that there was 3,000 people who participated in the Great Burning, who burnt at least one DEC, which implies, there's at least 3,000 people who are doing that. But there's no real reason to burn one DEC except to test that exact question. And so I suspect there's more people because you really need to you needed to burn 3,500 DEC in order to get one raffle ticket in that process. And so there's probably lots of people who play, but we're like, I'm not going to spend $5, like $3 or whatever, $2 worth of DEC on a raffle ticket to win something I probably am not going to win. So I actually think there's probably between 5,000 and maybe even 10,000, possibly a little more real human players playing the game. And that's such a huge growth from where it was literally, 300-400 people playing daily. And so again, I don't think we need to be a Hearthstone type thing to have significant multiplication, to have a real opportunity for growth. I think, if we can still be modest, we can be niche even, and yet be really excited about where that will bring those who are participating now, those who are gaining assets now, soulbound cards that one day will be transferable, SPS for every battle that one day won't be issued for battles, etc. All adding up to, fill a portfolio that one day could really be meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that Hearthstone sentiment for sure. Where it took me a while I started out as a casual CCG player playing Hearthstone, where they cater to the casual, and there's a lot of RNG, and there was like some pro players who spent like literally hundreds of hours a month trying to get the highest win rate possible.
Mm-hmm.
But then they just found out that it was better just to play more games because there's so much RNG in the game. While Splinterlands is a little more, I would say, hardcore game where it's less forgiving because there's a lot less RNG.
Mm-hmm.
So it hits a little different market, but I can definitely see how like the CCG market growing and expanding over the past like 10 years where Hearthstone blew up and then a lot more people are getting into CCGs like Marvel Snap and stuff. And maybe when people get tired of those games, they become a little more experienced and might move on to Splinterlands after, they pour a few $100s into that and get nothing out.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for the joy of a game, like we were alluding to with you going to play Magic still, or me playing the LOTR. But man, if you can have joy, and maybe this is just an if, but if you can have joy and simultaneously extract like some sort of reward, that's really exciting. That's totally different. And I think that's what Splinterlands provides. But that's why I always say, like, you gotta ask yourself the question, like, does Splinterlands, is it fun and rewarding? Like, is it fun and does it have a future? Like, if you think it's fun, you can enjoy and enjoy that fun aspect and just quietly let that accumulate into something, and then be surprised one day if it adds up to something meaningful. And I think it will, but really, again, if it's fun, you almost don't need to worry about whether it's going to be rewarding. You just kind of enjoy the process. But the cool thing is that it just, and I think it will. So But you, before we went live, you had a great comment and you wanted to talk a little bit, and it's kind of related to what we're already talking
I
about.
want to go back to something real quick though.
Sure.
You're talking about Lord of the Rings in your card game.
Yep.
Well, and we were talking about Magic the Gathering. Well, Magic the Gathering just had their Lord of the Rings set released like this week pretty much, or next week or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to give a shout out to my brother Sky 11 Slide. He bought me the like bundle for Lord of the Rings sets, and I got like some of the cool promo cards, and also got like a Sauron. It comes with like the One Ring and these other cool cards. You get like
Nice.
a Bilbo Baggins and Legolas and all these other awesome cards. So it's pretty cool. That just came out, and I just watched a video about like an MTG finance guy
Yeah.
who says that this is changing everything, where they're just going to go with a lot more like expensive IPs going forward, because everyone's just so happy with this set right now coming
That's really
out.
cool. That's really cool that you say they're going to be looking at like essentially transforming the IP that they look at, they reach out to and they pay for, as opposed to kind of just being that creative. You're saying that they're seeing the excitement in people in their audience, and now they're willing to pay the price that would be involved in having like big name IP. That's really cool.
Exactly. It's kind of like the same thing in Splinterlands, where we got like the Waka Flocka promo, and then we're going to have this new IP set come out, and people are worried about, the identity of the cards and stuff and the art and stuff, but people are just eating it all up. And I actually just signed up for like a survey for MTG to like get some free money in cards. And the questions were about, do you want the X-Men and Avengers IP combined with the Watchmen and like Jurassic Park and all these
Nice.
other things?
Nice.
So I think they're moving towards that direction.
Cool. Do you think that Splinterlands is actually going to sort of there'd probably be a process of almost paying like the ticket, you know what I mean? Paying the piper, paying like probably a sizable value to see one of those big names kind of come on board. Do you suspect we will have that sort of power and that sway, and maybe we'll be able to pull triggers on sort of deals like that, or not?
Yeah, I think so eventually. It's just what I kind of realized is with this set, everything's kind of, like a box of cards. Instead of being like 120 or whatever, it's like 180.
Yeah.
So it's quite a bit more. But, if we get to bring in that extra crowd, and, the cards are really cool and powerful and stuff like they did in Magic, I think Splinterlands could definitely get some other cool IPs. Like you mentioned, like an anime IP, I think that would fit really well.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be like nearly as expensive as like Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting to think through, like how things could, if we really saw one of these days, I think we will be surprised by the IP partnerships that happen. Right now, I don't know that this new mini set that we're expecting in the next weeks or months will be one of these blow away, IPs. They keep mentioning some sort of like studio or film. Do you have any guesses, or do you have any like vision for what that might be? I don't have huge hopes, let's put it that way, but do you have any thoughts or expectations on that?
I remember you asked this last time, and I haven't really thought about it much since then. I have no idea who it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep expectations a little lower, because, this is one of the first big IPs that we're having. So I'm not expecting, Jurassic Park or Indiana Jones or anything like that. But I think there's definitely room in the marketplace. Like even like a Netflix show could be pretty big. Like the one with like, I forget what it's called, like one with the monsters and they were like lost somewhere. Or aliens and stuff, but I didn't watch it. It was just really big. So I think like any of the big Netflix shows that have been really big in the last like 3 years, and they're ready for a new season, they could have an IP with Splinterlands.
That'd be really cool, because if you saw a partnership with something that came out of like a Netflix or an Amazon Prime or something, like a show that was from one of these, because even Netflix and Amazon Prime in some sense are in their own lane, like a revolution on that sort of space. Like think of how many people, I don't know how old you are, but I'm old enough to remember when TV was like you had 20 channels, and like TV was on during the day and it wasn't on at night because it was on when it was on. You had to like get a TV guide and see when your show came on, as opposed to all this on-demand stuff. And so now it's flipped on its head, where like TV still exists, of course, but man, even with PVR where you can record whatever it is you want to record, I mean, I don't know anybody who does that. Like, I mean, yes, it's cool to have access to maybe live sports or to news, but man, if it weren't for live sports or news, I think that media would just die, and you'd see things like, the you would see Netflix and you would see Amazon Prime be like the only source of television, Apple TV, etc., because people want that experience of on demand. They want what they want. Like, it's like a more of a buffet as opposed to I have everything. I'm like going to go select from the buffet what I want, when I want, and as much of it as I want. And so then if Netflix was, for instance, to come partner in something like this, it would be, in some sense, I doubt it, but I'm saying like it would be neat because like they're almost visionaries within their own space, and it'd be like one more way that they're bringing like a new technology forward by partnering in something like giving some of their IP to something like this. And frankly, I suspect you could imagine a partnership where Splinterlands almost pays them to allow that to happen, and then they get pleasantly surprised by the results in the payment that they receive through the card sales or whatever. So I don't know. We'll see what it ends up being. They've been really hush about it though, haven't they? They haven't really said anything about the actual IP, and even the release dates now seem like they're being pushed back.
So I'm 31, and I remember reading the TV guides when I was younger and always getting hyped for that on Sundays to look at the newspaper and stuff. But yeah, so what you're talking about, how like the evolution of TV has gone to like more power to the users where they get less advertisements. And when I was younger, I'd be like, I'd be willing to pay double for TV to have no ads. And now there's Netflix for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
So people really like that, and I think it's providing power to the users. And I think Splinterlands is doing a similar thing where it's taking away the profits from like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, and it's actually putting the profits into the users. Mm-hmm. So I think this could be like a more common trend when when the word gets out about Splinterlands. And I just thought of a new guess for this IP. It could be the Witcher series, as they had a card game called Gwent that came out a few years ago. And Gwent was really popular at first, but there was like no RNG in it. So those like super pros loved the game and just like won all the tournaments. But it was kind of hard to watch from a viewing standpoint. So it wasn't really that popular, and it came out like 4 or 5 years ago or something, 6 years ago. So I think, the Witcher series already went into a CCG called Gwent. It's like GWENT.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
And it was really cool. I liked it. I never played it. I just watched people play it. But they're already in CCG, so I can see them coming out to another one. Maybe not this IP. We might get a little smaller IP this time around, but in the future, I think it would be a good party to reach out to.
Interesting. Cool thought anyways. Even like you say, even if it's not this one, that could be something that, like if there's a success or on the back of a bull market, this is something where they've already shown that they're interested in that space, and then maybe they could be, brought in. That's cool. I want to take a moment and say hello to the people that are hanging out today. Guys, thanks for coming by. I see Hewitt was the first. He arrived early, in fact. Hewitt, thanks for coming today, buddy. Hardy Stonefish, Smoke Lord, Stock Jockey, Aaron Kennedy, Alex. Good to see you guys. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for coming to hang out. Just so you guys know, I'm probably going to have to go a little earlier today, to be determined. But just so you know, like Lumina's with me, my younger daughter. She is like chilling right behind me on her beanbag, listening to some music quietly. And her nurse canceled today, and that means that Daddy's got to take care of her. Got to make sure she's got attention, excitement. So we're gonna go do some fun things, enjoy the sunshine. But so I will be here for an hour, unless she absolutely says we got to go. But right now she's chilling. So at least an hour, and then I'll kind of see. But I definitely won't be able to do the usual too. So sorry in advance. But you know what, Skeeter, we should talk about what you want to talk about, because I think it was a great conversation, and it's let's hop into it. Before we went live, guys, Skeeter was mentioning an idea, just around the cost of rental cards these days. Have you seen that they've gone even higher? Like because I used to rent a lot of cards, and I was so profitable. I would rent what I didn't need, and I'd still be making 15,000 DC a day. It was like absolutely bananas, like to me, because those weren't even the necessary cards for me to get where I want to go. And then I felt there was a real price drop off with the rental prices. Are you finding that it's significantly higher right now?
I found that like as a renter, like a landlord or whatever, a card lord, that my rental profits are a lot less than they previously were. For now, I don't really even try to update them much. I just use Flex. I just take whatever I get. But I haven't really rented that much cards in all in general because I really don't like renting. I'd rather just buy cards.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I should rent out more cards to test them before I buy them.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was talking about before we went live was about how I'm playing in the gold foil brawls in your league now
Yep.
in time and attention one, and it's been a pretty big shock to the system where I realized, I can't just go out and get like 5 cheap rentals. I'm gonna have to go out and get a few more, and it's not as profitable as I would hope, where I'm spending extra time to get rentals, and like I'm on track to spend like $200 a year in gold foil rentals just for brawls.
Wow.
And that's like quite a bit. And then my earnings at SPS at today's prices would be like $240, while I could just play in tier 3 and not rent out cards and then earn like $85.
Yep.
So there's not much of a financial incentive to playing gold foil brawls right now, or alpha betas, or the expensive brawls. So I think maybe the rewards could be switched a little bit.
Do you wonder? I wonder if if that's an issue of the lack of supply. Well, it's almost certainly an issue of the lack of supply of gold foils that are available on the marketplace. But man, it's almost a testament to the fact that if you do accumulate gold foils, like not to let them go. I know sometimes we sell them because we want to buy other cards, and we never think we're going to get a full gold foil deck. So we think, if I liquidate this card for $1 or $2 or $5 or whatever, I can buy other supplies that will help me be better. But man, you're right. And then there's that niche opportunity, that fray in particular. Like, if it seems like your story is very similar to many people's, like even mine, when I fill that fray, it's like, it's tough for me to make it happen. And so if you're able to be that guy who can create that deck for yourself, probably over the next year, it wouldn't be over days or weeks, man, there is a niche opportunity that few others can fill, because you're saying it's not profitable for me to. I'd rather fill a different fray and make less than, manage the rental market, seek out the deals, pay more and gain essentially less. So if somebody can come to that place by already just building that deck without needing then to rent, and that's probably a long time horizon sort of construction process, man, that's probably the lucrative path for like finding your niche role and always having a fray to play.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't mind spending the big bucks to get gold foils, like I'm trying to tell myself that I'm more happy to play in Gold League than Diamond League, even though some of my cards are up to Diamond. Like I have a gold foil Max Quicks and Max Kelia. I think I would just have more fun playing in like a gold league and earning less rewards, because then I'm not, getting bullied by the people with the really expensive Jotuns, Kitties, and untamed cards like Magnor, Kraken, and all those really brutal cards that I play against. And even just Dr. Blight, like he's so oppressive that if I can't beat him, I'm gonna have to join him. So I'm gonna get a gold foil Dr. Blight hopefully by the late end of the summer.
Yeah.
Level 3.
And you'll want to buy it, you mean?
Yeah, I'm going to buy him because I think he's just going to be a staple forever.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Blight could be 6 mana and he'd still be played.
I'm with you. He's so good. I've been featuring him a lot, or just noticing what he's capable of with Splinter Coach a lot. And people know, everyone knows intuitively that Dr. Blight is a strong card. You see it win quite a bit. But look at how, I've played 1,200. This is actually not quite up to date, but call it 1,214 battles in the last 6-7 weeks using this app or this site. And out of 1,200 battles, I've played Dr. Blight nearly 300 times. Like 1 in 4 battles, I've put him I've put him in the game. 1 in 4 battles, and he still is rocking a 529 win record. So like above 500, this card wins in so many contexts. And you're right. Oh, dang. Of course. Let me refresh and get that going. But man, the fact that it does that not, it's like, it's one thing to be a strong card that wins when it fits. It's another thing to be a strong card that wins in like a wide variety of contexts. That's too bad it's not working right this second.
Yeah, and it's that 1% of that 529. It would actually be higher if your opponent did not play Dr. Blight, but you're losing to Dr. Blight. So it's Dr. Blight versus Dr. Blight, keeping the win rate lower.
You're totally right. You're 100% right. Look at let's look at the mana caps on this one. I'm sure it gets a lot of wins. Maybe some of its real strength comes in the low mana caps, but I'm not saying that's exclusively. But I bet, watch, we have a strong 600 win rate here, 569 with 58 matches in the lowest mana cap, in the 20 to 29, still above 500. So low mana matches, of course, like these are all what I call low mana. This is the 30 to 39. We're well above 500 in every context. Holy, this thing, the only one it lost, the only one it's not succeeding at is a 99 mana cap, which it's only been played once.
And that could have been like Magic only.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. At every level, it's just such a beast.
Dude, yeah, when he gets up to, when I'm playing with him, he gets up to 12 health. And then he can like poison O'Shaughnessy. And he doesn't even have to land that many hits, but he can still kill O'Shaughnessy. Even when I get silence and stuff, just because the poison will land if they don't have cleanse.
Yeah.
Which happened last night.
Yeah, the affliction is so clutch too, because like big tank heals and
Bachira.
I mean, the whole kit really is so synergistic. The camo allows the scavenge to work. By the time it finds the front position, it probably has 10 or 12 hit points. The weaken is nice because, one less hit point on your whole enemy team is 5 or 6 hit points that you don't have to cut through. Sometimes I feel like we think weaken is like, oh, it's just 1 hit point. You're talking 5 or 6 hit points if they have a full bench. And the poison, if it procs, now 50% chance for it to proc, but if it lands, it'll cut through some of the big enemies. And of course, affliction, like I said, with some of the main tanks being so resilient, if you can shut that down, this thing is just a beast. So I get it.
Totally. And I agree with Weekend. Weekend is pretty much 1 damage AoE spell right at the beginning of the game. And if you play like 2 of those, then you're doing like, 10 to 12 damage right off the start, like round 0, which other cards are doing damage round 0.
Yep. Totally. What's it rent for? Let me have a look at this here. Neutral. How do I find this? Sometimes I forget how these filters. Okay, here we go. Dr. Blight. I think I had a gold foil Blight. If I did too. I sold it. Like I got one when they first dropped. How did we get Dr. Blight again? We bought Chaos Legion packs early. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think the pre-sale, if you buy enough.
That's right.
The expensive vouchers.
That's right. And I did get one Dr. Blight gold foil, and I remember I sold it like right away. And it made sense. It did a lot of things for me, but man, holding, this is the thing. Like sometimes you make a choice to sell a card that you love, and you end up being glad you did in some respects, in that it will afford you other opportunities. But man, I never, like almost every time I play this game, I think to myself, man, I still wish I had Kitty. Or, cards like this, you think we're talking about how amazing it is. And I used to have a gold foil, and that could have carried me in a lot of gold foil brawls in a major way because of how applicable it is. So we're talking at level 1, just 10 DC a day, but no, that's not right. Look at this. Oh yeah. But this is level 2, I mean, because gold foils don't go to level 1. 10 DC is not bad, but then you're not going to want a level 2 if you're fighting in like, a tier 4 battle. So you probably need to go, at least 3.
Down a bit.
Say that again?
You get to click on Dr. Blight, and then you scroll down a bit, and you show view more cards.
Mm-hmm. So there's a level 3, and he's at 200 DC a day. And then quickly it escalates up to 3. And for that 4, you're talking 800, just shy of 800 a day. Right now, 65 cents, I know, but at the same time, like you say, what did you say, $300 a year is what you figure it would cost you?
It was about $200 a year. And it was like $120 just a year just to rent out Lorna Shine, Mylor, and Dr. Blight for all the brawls.
So how long have you been filling that fray?
Only about like maybe 6 weeks or so now, so far.
Do the cards that you're acquiring to fill that fray impact your rank experience, meaning giving you more opportunity to win, or not really?
Oh, totally, for sure. And it's always more fun after I rent out cards. So then I get to play with like Dr. Blight and
Yeah,
Mylar and
yeah,
stuff. So yeah, there's other earnings that way, for sure. But I'm mainly just doing it for the brawls.
yeah. I hear you. These things are complicated though, because when you talk about, for instance, like the cost not restoring you, there's like everything from the merit payouts that are higher to the SPS, which is higher. The SPS I know right now at 1.6 pennies is almost a whatever. But like I think we get about 130, 150 SPS per sort of finish, and
It's not just whatever. It's the SPS even at 1.7 pennies is $260 a year in earnings in our brawl.
wow.
So it's still a very large chunk. That's almost like what a no deal is or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like 225, 250 ish per, and then you probably do 4 a month, right? Ish, and then
This was for the whole year.
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, like good money, but I think the interesting, like this is where, like this, I finished this battle earlier. Look at this, I got 12.7 SPS for this win. Now, 12.7 SPS for one win. Wolf's a beast, by the way. Wolf is like a serious, like been around forever. I don't know if he watches my content, but shout out to Wolf. Anyways, this to me feels like it's very significant to me. But I think most people, like the guys who are watching right now, thank you again for watching, guys. I suspect you all agree 12 SPS is awesome for a win. But the problem is the world who would look at this game right now doesn't really care. They don't even really know what SPS is. They would say something like, tell me about your game. Okay, how much does it pay? If it's giving you cryptocurrency, how much does it pay? And they're talking US dollars, right? They want a framework with which to understand what this game is doing for us. And when we say 12.7 SPS, or when you talk about, the 150 SPS or whatever in tier 4 per brawl, again, the US dollar value might today feel really inconsequential to some people. And I think that is a point where we end up, we need to be able to package like the vision of what that could be so that they recognize, one, you can have fun here. That's the first thing. And two, if you have fun here doing what you're naturally going to do in this game, you'll receive these benefits that feel trivial, but that one day could be something significant. And that part is, whenever I talk to somebody who hates Splinterlands, they never see that part. They always talk about how there's no payment, there's no reward, it costs way too much, there's nothing of consequence that you get out of it. And so they're not calculating any probability of appreciation. If this token goes to 10 cents, this is $1.20 per win. And I can win 15, 20 days, probably 15 matches a day. But I mean, if this was a 10-cent token, bet your ass I'm going to spend money on DC in order to play more battles. So that's another thing too. Like, you're going to see energy being burnt as SPS. There's so many cool things that will happen as SPS appreciates. One, people who've been investing time and attention over the last months and years are going to see massive gains because they've accumulated a bag. Two, new eyes are going to be drawn to the game because every battle pays you so much more. Like, it doesn't pay you more. It pays you, the US dollar calculation is more exciting. And then, what was that last point that I wanted to draw there? New attention, new eyes. Oh, and then it's going to drive DEC burning, which is going to be another SPS mechanic flywheel issue, because again, if you're getting 12 SPS per battle, and if it's $1 in SPS or 50 cents or 10 cents, that's going to be exciting to people, myself included. So much so we're going to burn DEC to get new energy. And that's going to be a thing that's at some point in the future going to require you to burn SPS to get that fly, right? Because that's going to be one of the only sources through which you'll get DC, because we will return to peg at some point. So, but man, is there a way to, do you see any, like, because I see this all as I can't give it to a new person. Like a new person doesn't get what I just said. And I don't know an easy way to give it to them. I think they almost need, I think lots of people are going to be paying attention quietly to Splinterlands right now, and they're going to watch the next bull run begin and start taking effect. And then they're going to rush in because they always thought it was kind of interesting, but now it looks like it's paying. And that's going to be such a wrong move because you're sacrificing all of this window that you can just invest time and attention to quietly accumulate, as opposed to when in the bull you're gonna have to throw money at it to chase after green candles. And I don't know your investment strategy or how long you've been in crypto. I forget the answer to that, but that's just never a good idea. You gotta be here when the bears are around. You can't come racing in when the green starts, because that's when you're gonna get roasted in the volatility that almost always follows. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's how most people lose money, is they invest with their emotions and not based on and listen to other people and all the negativity going around. And like as Warren Buffett says, if you're not good at investing, just index the whole stock market, take like a tiny bit of share of each of the big Dow 500 companies, and then just throw it away and never look at it again. Because when people start trying to manage their investments, they sell when it's low, and then they buy when it's high.
Yeah.
And then that's how you just actually annihilate your investment portfolio. And going back to how people can't realize the trivial rewards every day that end up becoming like a mountain over time, is that it's just like human nature. Human nature, we don't think about, like a $3 toll crossing the bridge every day. But when you do that twice a day for, 280 work days a year or whatever, then that really does add up.
Yep. I saw some oh, go ahead.
Like I had to do the calculations and break out the brawl math. It's like, yeah, $2 a brawl, whatever, doesn't seem that bad. But then when you multiply it by 52 weeks times 2, because there's 2 brawls a week, it ends up becoming a significant amount. But also, even though I'm earning less, essentially $40 a year and less by renting cards, I'm still getting double the amount of merits and packs and stuff. So the Gladius packs, I'm essentially getting for $1 each or something per brawl, which it seems like a really good deal in general.
Yeah, because Gladius cards, I'm getting more and more excited about them because one, they're still so rare. When I look at how much I've created, how complete my Gladius deck is, it's really trivial. It's like 15-20% done. And that's important because it means that even a guy who's been playing at a high level in Splinterlands with a good deck and been in brawls for, since they started, is really struggling to get that full deck built. And what that tells me is everyone's going to be struggling to get that full deck. And what that means is when you separate yourself by getting those in any meaningful way, meaning like you get one of the legendaries that's really powerful, you get some other elements, like some of those epics and rares are really powerful. It's going to distinguish you from some of the people you're facing off against in a big way. Plus the, we're creating ways where those gladiators are finding their way into ranked battle, because soon the soulbound reward summoners are going to reach levels that make them playable. I recently got like a level 7 on the green, and I have a few level 6s for those soulbound summoners that are introducing gladiators. So that's like the new summoners that are soulbound are fun and great, and it's cool that you get soulbound summoners, but they're even more powerful than you first think, because they are now introducing, the soulbound summoners are going to grow in strength as your gladiator deck grows in strength, which is going to mean more, not just gladiator wins and therefore merits in brawls, but also just SPS through ranked battle experiences, which is really, really exciting.
Totally. I even been playing with some of the gladiator cards. Like last night, I had a rule set that was like Equalizer, and I went death, for a lot of life leech, spammed out the 3 and 4 mana life leech cards, and then had the Witch of Werewolf 5 mana life leech bloodlust cards, like only level 3. But when you get Equalizer and you put it up to like 8 HP, that card's nuts.
Yep, absolutely. Some of the I'm trying to pull up the data right now, but I know that I have used the new Lob Lowland summoner, and I have integrated Catrelba, which is the double sneak attack melee monster from
Yeah.
the green team, and it has won more than it's lost. Well, it might have been like 3 wins and 2 losses or something like that. So it was relatively niche, but that was with me being in Diamond Champion fighting with a level 6 Lob Lowland, as opposed to the appropriate level 8 of Summoner. So, as these things continue to level up, I think there really are going to be new plays, and you're going to see certain accounts which have been taking the game seriously over the last bear market, or through this bear market, are going to be poised to strike in a way that others won't. So if you show up in 2024 and when there's a bull market on, you're going to be without all of these soulbound sort of rewards that you could have accumulated quietly, and that takes so much time to accumulate. You can't go out and buy those. You cannot buy the gladiators. You cannot buy the soulbound reward cards, at least not yet. And so for that reason, I think that's part of that story of why it's so important that you just be attending to something like this in a bear market if you think it has a possible future, and just recognize that there's going to be a ton of white noise that say, hey man, land's not out yet, and the new player experience is still shite, and DC isn't yet a peg, and there's just so many reasons to complain in a bear market. But you got to take that with a filter of everyone's disappointed that their bags are cheaper now, and just say, okay, did anything fundamentally change between, a year and a half ago when I first believed in this game and now? And to me, the answer is like, yeah, it has, but all for the better. Like, we've seen growth, and we've seen like a frugality in what the team has done, like laying off certain people and creating, like, I think, more intentionality with how they move forward. And even not the once a weeks, town halls turning into every other week, because the amount of labor hours that would be spent on something like that, prepping for that conversation, because you don't just turn on the town hall. Like Nate's and Aggie and Matt, they don't just turn on the town hall cold with zero consideration. They come into meetings probably 2 hours before that together to make sure they're of one mind on certain issues, or that they at least are talking to the people who know. So they come in here with, the answers that they're going to need to answer to. So it's probably a day wasted for, 10 people, and 10 important people that need to be attentive, to other things. And so anyways, just I feel like a lot has changed and still needs to be changed, but we're aiming in the right direction. And so like, that's why you gotta like ask that question. Has something changed negatively? Is something broken? And for me, the answer is like a resounding no. But I did see a comment, and maybe shout out to, let's check the comment section, because I saw a comment that is a little bit the opposite of what I'm saying. Smoke Lord's a bit critical. He goes, let's see. I've got it up on the screen here. Smoke Lord goes, the new Riftwatcher DEC proposal is going to crush card values, in my opinion. The claim is that it will give DEC more utility and value. Value has to come from somewhere, and it'll be from the Riftwatcher card value. I think he's both right, but then also this is like his what he's saying is kind of, you might say that this sort of critique and criticism is pointing at, I just asked, has something gone wrong in the last year and a half? Is there something that's now giving you reason to pause or doubt Splinterlands? Maybe some people will say how they handle Riftwatchers, how some of these proposals are going, etc., is a point of critique and worry moving forward. And it isn't to me, but man, what do you think about this? What Smoke Lord's saying around the Riftwatcher DEC proposal? It's going to crush the value. We talked about rental card prices being high. Is this going to be a pain to Riftwatcher card holders in that it's going to drive Riftwatcher card prices down? Does that drive other card prices down too? Does it have, negative implications for our game or our community? What do you think about that proposal?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely, if they offer packs for a discounted rate, then the cards will follow suit, become discounted too. I'm not really that excited for this proposal. I'd rather just have, like you said, more packs on the market, and we just slowly get through them. But I can see why the team wants this proposal, is because they're about to push out a new set, and they want to maybe not have 2 sets of packs in the store for offering. They just want to have maybe just the new IP packs available. So then we plow through those quicker, and maybe they get another IP before Rift Watchers or whatever.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, it's from the perspective of the team. Yeah, this does feel like a strong, like, we really, really, really should do this. I think it's really not good if we have multiple packs available. I think that when the shelves start getting overflowing with old product, you got to move it. You got to get rid of it. I do like what you said. I almost prefer them to just leave, in some sense, prefer them to just leave rift watchers alone and let it sit and sell when it sells. But simultaneously, I think we might have made a mistake in the context of selling rift watchers for SPS in the first place. And I say that because SPS was like, we did it because we wanted to fill the DAO, but the conversation that needs to, we need to remember that the whole point of what we're doing with our economy in Splinterlands is we're aiming at a place where DEC is a stable token. DEC is stable, and SPS has the opportunity to have moonshots, like to have really significant growth. One, because there's burn mechanics around it. Two, because there's deep need for more of it by every player through staking and the requirements around staking, the benefits of staking. And then also three, or maybe four, I guess depends how you mark those points. There's the idea that one day there will no longer be more SPS. And so, the vision really seems to be DC stable, SPS appreciating. And if that's the case, it's like people always said with Bitcoin, you don't want to spend Bitcoin on pizza, or one day you're a story, like the 10,000 Bitcoin being spent on a pizza day.
Yeah.
And so who wants to come in and buy Rift Watchers? It takes 300 SPS to buy a pack right now for $5. Who wants to spend 300 SPS when that might one day be $300? Like that's where my head goes. And that's, I think, where a lot of people's head goes. And so my point is, I think there was a mistake in how we drafted the sale of Rift Watchers in the first place. And so I feel as though if we move to a place where we change it to a DC product, it's actually just an acknowledgement that we never should have sold for SPS, and we shouldn't ever again. I think they wanted to fill the DAO, and that's admirable. But man, I just can't picture ever again selling SPS for cards that, I just can't. I'd rather wait and buy it on the market I'd rather you buy it with your SPS and I'll pay you in DEC, which I feel I can more easily dispense with. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really didn't get what you're saying until the very end. But yeah, I see what you mean, where, if we sell everything in DEC and then we burn through a supply of DEC, then that starts the flywheel action going. And that's pretty much what everyone wants. So let's pump up the flywheel and give it a little extra boost on the paddle, instead of trying to sell stuff for SPS. Like, yeah, it was admirable to help fill the DAO. But, I'm happy to adjust too if it's better for the game and the company overall.
Yeah. And how do you feel about this idea that I'm raising around SPS is like, don't you agree, or maybe you disagree? Do you agree or do you disagree that Splinterlands is aiming and been telling us that they're aiming at a place where SPS will one day be more and more valuable, whereas DEC should always be 1,000, just peg? Do you think is that the message you're hearing, first of all?
Oh, definitely. Well, like, since I found out that, SPS is only being minted for like 5 years or something, then yeah, like it's going to stop being minted. And when it stops being minted and it's out in supply, then of course, then the supply drops and it's going to get more valuable.
Yeah.
It just, it depends on the time horizon and how much it multiplies.
So if that's the case, then I guess the question I'm posing is that, like how can we logically ask our players, and why would our players make a logical decision to dispense with that token, which is being literally, like, all this effort is being poured into making it more valuable, more pricey, and that's like they're almost the stated intention of the game to appreciate SPS. I think that's almost the unstated thesis of what Splinterlands is even trying to do. I think they're really everything is like pointing at that level. And so then why would we ever give it away for packs? Now I bought some Riftwatcher packs and I used SPS to do so, but I did the math I bought validator nodes and I used SPS to do so. But then in the recent weeks, I don't know if you know this, Skeeter, but I went and I sold like 3 validator nodes, and I bought them each for, I want to say 15,000 SPS, something like that. I could do the math, but I don't want to distract the conversation right now. It was something like 15 or 17,000 SPS, because at the time SPS was 8 or 9 or 10 cents. And so I got, that's how many SPS I took to buy each validator node. But then when I sold them, even though the US dollar value had dropped substantially, I think I got $800 per, as opposed to the 1,500 that they were quote unquote worth when I bought them. The thing is, I was able to like double my SPS. I got 40,000 SPS per node sale. And I bought 80, something like 69,000 SPS, and plus some other things. And my point is, man, I just can't, with that, knowing that in my back pocket, I really can't see myself ever spending SPS again in a frivolous way, even when something is really interesting, even when I really want it. I just think I know where SPS is going and I want more of it, not less. And, I'll sell other things. I'll sell a card. I'll sell, other cryptocurrency, but I'm just not going to let it go. And so that's why if that is logical, and I think it is, I almost feel that means we have to sell Rift Watchers for DEC. We have to, because they're never going to sell, because people, I think, though, especially the dieheads who are still here, are probably sharing my opinion that, man, I'm not going to give away my SPS for a 1.7 pennies. I've saved it for so long. I'm going to keep saving it. I'll wait till the next bull run. Maybe then I'll buy Rift Watcher packs for, and I'll give you 5 SPS for 1 pack or something crazy. That's the only way that I see it happening. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, now that you mention it, it's kind of is like an oversight on the psychology of the market and SPS, where people want to hold on to it for longer because they think it's going to appreciate. So why are you going to sell something that you hope to appreciate?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that the Bitcoin pizza, like everybody here probably does. Some dude's 10,000 Bitcoin, man, on a large pizza.
Man, 10,000 Bitcoin is ridiculous. I still feel bad that I spent a sixth of a Bitcoin on beer 10 years ago.
Did you? Nice. You know what? I've got similar stories. What did I do? Maybe nothing quite so crazy, but not okay. Like here's a embarrassing story that some of you will already know. When I was new to crypto, I definitely didn't understand DeFi. And there was a Ponzi scheme that came out that was like, hey, we'll give you APR on your investment, if you leave your crypto with us, we'll give you a staking reward essentially. And this has been like, it's funny because the one I fell for was during like the 2016 or whatever bull market, but I lost 0.8 of a Bitcoin or something like that. Or 0.7
Ouch.
or something. So a ton, but like at the time it was only $1,500 or something like that. And the thing is, like, that stuff is happening all the time. Like, I mean, it recently, I would say that's very similar to, oh man, I forget the names of them now, but there are other websites even this year that were offering APR on your crypto, and some of them, I forget the names of them. I wish I could cite them, but I know that for a fact there were some, and some of them like went belly up. And that's like some of the problems that have happened in this year alone. And so this is always a thing where people are like, we unfortunately, this is part of why there's like a black eye, because some of this stuff happens where you do spend it and you wish you didn't, or you get involved in something that you shouldn't, and it burns. And then now crypto or NFT blockchain gaming gets this black eye. I think we need to overcome that. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I agree. It's like the wild, wild west, and everything's unregulated, and there's a lot of bad actors and people with hidden IP addresses and hackers and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would appreciate, a little more regulation into that, like actual security of crypto and stuff, and maybe like audit some of the, like every company that offers like an APR for holding crypto should get like audited, I think those are pretty standard things that could be implemented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like really minor regulation, like just basic stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, pal. Oscar, I see you out there, buddy. Thanks for coming by. Gathering, thanks for stopping by. Shopping Channel, Icy Flow, Luke, Alex Toro's back. Thanks, guys, for coming to hang out again. Horse is out there. Good to see you. After Sound, dude. Thanks for popping by, buddy. Let's see if there's any questions out there. Boom, boom. Let's see.
I could also end on one last point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been getting like a little bit of a negative sentiment when playing at night on my phone, and I don't have all the rentals, or I went on a 9-loss streak last week, and so that was pretty brutal. But I'm like getting negative because I think the bots are too good and they play like perfect teams, but they don't play perfect teams because I still beat bots pretty often. And then I just realized it's more on myself instead of blaming the bots, where I have been slacking in regular battles compared to others who are playing more to me and learning the game more.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of complaining about the bots in Diamond, I'd rather just take it as like a challenge to improve.
Mm-hmm.
And when the bots leave Modern, then I'll be like a step up on everyone else, or a few steps up, if I'm trying to just keep improving constantly and watching like gameplay videos and seeing how people make teams and what strategies people go in.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I think of a rule set, I try to think of like, oh, what are like 3 cards that are instantly good for it? And to practice while I'm not even playing, I can make up rule sets in my head while I'm like swimming or exercising, like walking or something.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, this is 46 mana, everything available except death and blue or whatever. And just say like no archery and like everything down the middle.
Yeah.
Type rule set, and then try to think of like a team that I could field for that. And then I have more than 3 minutes to build teams, so I could actually go through all the options and think about who would be a good tank and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great exercise. Yeah, I used to play a lot of basketball when I was younger, and I still love it, but I don't play as much. But what I would do all the time is I would I'd go to bed and I'd picture my shot, like how it's going to roll off my finger. And it was as if I was actually living it. Like it really felt like I was experiencing the shot. And what I'm hearing you say is that sort of practice and that sort of commitment where you're actually challenging yourself even while not playing. Cause there really is there's an ability to get better and better and better at this. And if we take that opportunity, I think there's a way to get, let's put it this way. I really think the best of our players haven't fully, like, we don't have a Wayne Gretzky type experience like in our player base. I think the sort of genius that can be thought of could be bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's about like commitment. There's that guy who was it? Somebody just recently said they're going to step away from the game for a bit. One of the great, yes. And he's amazing. I heard him do a live event with Ashley, like way back when, like last summer. I don't know if Ashley's still making content. Ashley, if you see this, like shout out. But she did like a conversation with him and was like asking him about how he is such a proficient player, and the effort that was put in. Like he's like, I got these Excel spreadsheets and I track the data and I look at my notes and I like he lives and breathes like as one would if you wanted to be the best. I play this in a far more casual way. Like I just pick it up when I want to pick it up. I play it when I want to play it, and I have fun with it. But man, that's not what a guy like that's doing. They're deep into this process and being, pushing themselves to be something else, to be something better than the next guy, which is a cool opportunity. Like that's why games like this are cool. You actually can. And yes, bots are amazing and they're getting better. And it's going to be good when we see things like Modern have success by kicking them out. Somebody said in the comments, it'll be cool when you get 60 SPS in Modern for a win in champ because there's no more bots. Something like that's possible, man. I don't know. But I mean, it really is possible that we get to a place where there's such a removal of all that, all those accounts that, who knows? Are you playing Wild or are you playing Modern?
I'm playing Modern for now still. I'm playing Modern until everything switches and then my bot's going to go the other way. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm going to still probably play actually myself more Modern, and then I'll be able to like track the stats from like Splinter Coach better that way and stuff too. But I remember that interview actually. He said he made like Excel spreadsheets with like, it sounded like each tab was like a different splinter. So he had like teams for blue between like 10 and 20
Yeah.
mana or
Yeah.
whatever. And he had like, he probably listed at least 4 or 5 teams there. And then he has probably at least 3 teams between 20 and 30 mana. And then another 3 teams for all of the mana slots, like at least. And then he does that for each of the tabs, for each of the splinters. So he has like, I don't know, at least 30 teams ready that he can just look at a glance, and he's familiar with them, so he doesn't have to look at it all the time.
Yeah.
But he was doing what Xbot was doing before Xbot. He
Yeah.
was doing it the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty neat to think through. I'm excited to see where that goes. Guys, it's already 11. I feel like this flew by. This Skeeter, this is a great conversation. Lumina's peaceful, but I still want to be respectful of her, guys. Like she's with me. She's been sitting here patiently waiting for Daddy to finish up. I want to take her away and go spend some time with her. So I am going to cut it short here. But Skeeter, thank you so much for coming and hang out today. And guys, everyone who's watching, if you are interested in seeing more of this content, I just did a live event yesterday. It was like a 2-hour video. If you're a member on the channel, you can go watch it. If you're not a member, you can become a member and access that live content. And before we go, like I said earlier, Splinter Coach is really fun. I'm enjoying it. Check it out. $5 a month. This is a powerful tool. It'll help you. Plus, it'll be fun to look at the data. Skeeter, anything you wanted to say before we go?
Just thanks again for having me on. And, your children appreciate you for being such a great dad.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
And all of our Splinter dads, as someone else coined the term.
Yeah, I love that. Guys, appreciate everybody out there today. Drop a like before you head out, and have an awesome day. God bless. Bye for now.
God bless, man. That was fun.
Thanks. Yeah, dude, it flew by. And that really